scrappy people, it's Traci Reed here today, coming at you with another Sketchy Sunday video. I'm working on my third Traveler's Notebook sketch today, and I am working with my imperfect, or I'm perfect, depending on how you want to look at it, value print pack, and that's what all of these papers and embellishments are from, and then just a filtered photo I took of myself one day sitting on the couch just messing around. I kind of like the way it came out though, so I decided to scrapbook it with this collection because this collection is all about embracing your imperfections and being patient with yourself, and so I thought that this was a great photo for that. And you can see that I am tearing it in half with the frame and all, and I had this idea because the card that I'm going to use says something about being made of entirely of flaws stitched together with imperfection. So I'm going to actually bust out the embroidery thread and do some stitching on this layout. So in the sketch you can see that I have a place for the ripped and offset photo. You can also take this sketch and make it two photos that you stitch together, and instead of a frame you can put a thick paper mat if that is what you have available to you. It's really open to interpretation. These sketches are just meant to be guidelines, inspiration points for you to kind of run with. So I'm going to get out my awl, which is just basically a metal sharp pointy stick, and a mat. First I'm doing this in the air because I just was too lazy to pull out my mat. Change my mind, get out my mat in a second, and what I'm doing is I'm poking zigzag guidelines for my embroidery thread to go through. Just pre-punching these holes makes it so much easier to just get out your needle and go from hole to hole so that it's super easy to stitch. So you can see I'm just going across the photo, going up and down, back and forth, trying to keep my holes level with each other because I don't want my stitching to be too messy, although it is going to be vaguely messy. I actually like messy sewing. It's actually, I embraced many years ago that I'm a terrible sewing machine user, and I actually released a product line that was incredibly popular, which was digital messy sewing, which I made a ton of digital messy sewing machine stitches, and apparently everybody else likes messy sewing too. So I don't mind having messy stitches, not a big deal to me. As you can see that these came out pretty well. I'm actually going to repeat that line of stitching on the other side at the end of the video too, just to make it match. You can see both lines of stitching on the sketch itself. And just a reminder that there is a coordinating blog post for this video that I have linked in the description box below that has the sketch in a downloadable PDF for you if you want to download and print it and use it side by side while you are scrapbooking. I'm using my Traveler's Notebook papers, obviously, because I'm working in a Traveler's Notebook. Then I have the 4x6 cards printed from this collection as well. I actually have the entire collection printed. These $5 value print packs come with Traveler's Notebook size papers, 4x6 size papers or cards, patterned ones, and then 2 sheets of printable embellishments per $5 value pack. So they're the perfect size for, well, there's a ton of papers. There's 14 patterns, so you get 14 Traveler's Notebook papers plus solids, and then 14 4x6 cards as well. So there's a ton of papers that you can use for any projects. But then as far as the embellishments go, there's definitely enough for at least 2 Traveler's Notebook layouts, unless you are super de-duper embellishment heavy. Otherwise you can get a nice embellished Traveler's Notebook layout out of it, which is, I use quite a bit of the embellishments in this page, but I could definitely get a whole nother Traveler's Notebook spread out of this. So that's kind of what I'm working with here. I am going to add some non-hybrid embellishments as well at the end, but I'm just kind of working my way through the embellishments first, the hybrid ones. trying to decide what I want to back this card with. This card is faux wood grain, so I'm trying to find something that's nice and neutral between the wood grain and the colors, something nice and neutral to back it. So I decided to go with this houndstooth. There we go. And I'm just going to hand trim it off because I'm much too lazy to get out my paper trimmer. And with this houndstooth pattern, it's super easy to, you know, eyeball it. So that works. Then I'm going to put this down and I'm going to start adding more embellishment around the outside edges. I love these little, they're like newsprint circles that I'm going to add to the layout as a whole. There's 3 of them in the collection, so I'm going to sprinkle them around as embellishments. They're almost like flare without the epoxy. And then there are also, you can see one of the fun painted newsprint hearts that I've used, and we're going to use another one up at the top with this circle. And then another newsprint circle as well. I wanted to use this big heart, but it just kind of didn't fit very well with this card in this orientation specifically, so I decided not to use it. I put it down, but I'm not sure that it's going to stay there. I decided instead to use the chevron arrows that come in the collection as well. Thought it made a little bit better of a statement anyway. Filled up some of that horizontal or that vertical empty space. You can see that one has a little crossword puzzle stamp on it. So cute. I really like this collection because it's very mixed media heavy, very artsy fartsy, and it's one of my favorite collections I've ever designed, so I'm super happy to be able to use it again, put it back in the store, get some more use out of this collection because it's super fun. Now I'm going to add another circle, and then I'm going to go off camera and add in my stitching at the bottom of the card. Figured you watched it the first time. You don't need to see me poke holes again. Still trying to put that heart on there. Decide to go with the word strip instead, and then I'm going to go ahead and sew. So now I've got my sewing all done. You can see it underneath that word strip, and I'm actually going to use these gold roses that I've had in my stash forever. I'm trying so hard to use up the embellishments that I never ever use, and these roses were a part of that. And I've also pulled out some gold glittery enamel dots that I'm going to sprinkle around the roses as well. I decided I was using liquid glue and it was not working because they're a little bit indented on the other side, so I'm going to use pop dots instead, which of course I put on top of liquid glue, which makes them slippery, but I'm going to go with them being extra super glued on once the glue dries. That's what I'm going to hope for. So I'm going to put these down, then I'm going to put some enamel dots around them in clusters just to spread out the gold a little bit and not make it look like just random pops of gold on these pages. And then I'm going to call it good. You can see I'm just going to town with the enamel dots. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you. And if you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Traci M. Reed. I'd love to see you over there as well. And you can pick up the sketch on my blog via the link in the description box, and also the Imperfect collection, the $5 value print pack, which is available for a limited time. There is a link in the description box for that as well. All right, thank you.